my birthday next Thursday.
It is. It is.
So.
Okay.
I'm so excited about my birthday.
Welcome to Candid Conversations. I am your co-host, Coach Karen Canion, a.k.a. the doctor, a.k.a. the professor, a.k.a. Mr. a.k.a. I'm alongside, you like a IG model now. I mean, you glammed up, lost all this weight, looking all fly. You was fly 100 pounds ago to me.
Okay.
Always
Okay.
I mean, but now you like an IG model.
Okay,
type.
what you want to do with me then?
You'll be asleep before I get it.
I didn't ask you. That's not what was the question. I said, what do you want to do? I didn't say what was we gonna do.
I want you.
You know what?
I want to test.
You know what? Never mind.
The power of the brain. What up?
So I am Coach Karen Canion.
You a coach now?
And to him, sometimes Wookie. How are you guys doing tonight? I want to thank you guys for joining us for another Thursday evening. As Ken says, you could be anywhere, but you're right here with us, and we are so very grateful for that.
I ain't talking about you. I'm talking about me right now.
Okay,
notice how I shut up?
Okay.
Because I didn't have a pocket communication coach with me.
Oh, okay.
So I could type it in and see what exactly
because you was about to say something not smart.
That's why I said.
What you do? You wrapped it up.
I wrapped up the string around it. Wrapped my mouth and my lips up.
No, because you took over the conversation. And then after you took over the conversation, hold it, skibbly bebop. After you took over the conversation, then you said, I don't know, ask Karen. You had already taken over.
You asked me a question.
Okay, let's get going.
And
Let's
took over the conversation. Hold on. I just got to say one thing. You see how things go left? She asked me a question.
I did.
To answer.
I did.
And then I answered the question, and because I didn't give her the answer she desired, I took over.
I didn't ask you about where we were going. We were just talking about the time. But neither one of us had the pocket communication coach. That's why I went, could have gone left.
I do have it on my phone. My phone was turned off, see?
Okay.
See my
That's why I went left. That was the point I was just trying to make. I wasn't trying to, I was just trying to show people how things.
Can I order you something to eat? Can I order you something?
Okay, guys, we have a letter tonight.
Last week's show was great.
Yeah.
This show is going to be even better.
Yes.
And it's sponsored by the Pocket Communication Coach. Coach! Hey, the Pocket Communication Coach is like having a communication coach in your pocket. And we're growing every single month.
Every month.
New subscriptions. Whenever you want to figure out how to say it, if your communication sucks, you're tired of arguing with people because your communication sucks because you've never been taught how to communicate. That's why I created it for you who listen.
And himself.
I couldn't communicate well either, but now
you do communicate.
I'm a pretty good communicator now.
Yeah, you are.
I mean,
when you're not being a jack donkey.
Dealing with an avoidant like you, it's difficult, but I almost mastered it. An avoidant like you, that's how you know I'm a better communicator.
Do you know what that just did to you?
What did I do?
That put you in the same boat as the three little kittens that lost their mittens.
Kittens had mittens?
They put you in the same boat with the three little kittens that lost their mittens, and you shall have no pie.
All right, then.
Story time. So.
Story time!
I watched you care for your mom in a way that I'd never seen a man care for a woman. And that was one of the things that made me know that you were going to be a great man for, that was one of the factors, that was like the biggest turn on for me. That was the biggest, I think I fell deeper in love with you watching you care for your
Sure.
mom. And I don't know. I would disagree because maybe that came from your father.
I just wrote that down.
Maybe that came from your dad.
I just wrote it down.
Because the way that you cared for her is how you care for me.
See, I just wrote that down.
Again, that
didn't come from my mother. See,
that's
good. That's the misconception. That me caring for my mother because of our maternal bond was one thing. But the way you saw me care for my mother when she had her stroke, had that aneurysm, that came from my father.
Wow.
Because my father taught me how to care for a wife. Okay? And what I did was mimic my father. And so when my father would curl my mama's hair, when he would sit up all night, he know how to curl, and he would ask his sister, come teach me how to curl Will's hair. My mama's there. How to curl her hair, and my aunts would come teach him, and then he said so he could do it himself, so he could roll her hair himself. All right.
I remember he did her makeup one time because she wore makeup.
Yeah.
And he wanted
to be sharp going to church. Woo, she
quality of life that she had before the stroke. So he did her makeup, and she went to church, and somebody laughed at her. Did you know that?
No.
Somebody laughed at her. And he got so upset that he went that week to the MAC counter and learned how to apply makeup. And he did her makeup.
I knew he did the makeup, but I didn't know that story.
Yep. Somebody laughed at her at church, and he was distraught. It hurt him so bad.
I know that hurt.
That he went to a MAC counter, and somebody
He went to a MAC counter?
He went to a MAC counter, and somebody taught him to do makeup.
I mean, this is off script. That's why I love you the way that I love you. Because that man showed me what it was like to be a man. And see, people have this false representation of what a man is. Oh, you tough. You tough and you rough. But the thing is, a man is not only tough, but a man is compassionate. A man is willing to evolve. A man is willing to learn. A man is willing to become anything that his family needs, anything that his wife needs. I didn't know that story, but that makes me, I've always respected my father, but that makes me respect him even more so. I didn't know somebody laughed at her. I didn't know. I mean, I'm getting kind of choked up because I realized that the man that I have become is a large part due to who he has shown me how to be. He's modeled for me. And so, I mean, wow. So getting back to your original question, I mean, that was, I don't want to start crying because they'll be like, yo, yeah. But the thing is, I do want to say this, that didn't come from my mother. That came from my father. And so when a person thinks that, this is a good question. This is a super good letter. The reason why it is a misnomer that the way a man treats his mother, he's going to treat you. That's not true all the time. Because you can look at a man, he might treat his mother good, but that don't mean he may not treat you he might treat you like shit.
Audience, what do you think? What are your thoughts? I had it all wrong. I thought that the way that a man treated a woman his mother was how he was going to treat his significant other or his spouse. But I'm finding that part comes from the male, from the father figure or the father. So what are your thoughts, audience?
It's kind of like the person who normalizes abuse.
Excuse me. Bless me.
Bless you.
Okay, thank you.
I was just making sure you wasn't, one stroking out or nothing. Just making sure you could. Because you had, excuse me. Okay.
I was sneezing.
Sneeze in the middle of my commentary.
I'm sorry.
But no, we familiarize loneliness. and it becomes a part of us, much like, a person being in a relationship and they familiarize abuse. It's like I've grown accustomed to it and I normalize it. So it's a familiar, normal thing that I have accepted as a part of my life. So the first thing is what she's doing. She has decided that I no longer want to be lonely. The first thing is that whenever we want to change something, we have to tell our brain that I want to change. We have to plant a seed of, I want to do this. Then the second part of that is it must become a must that I change. Notice what I just said. It must become a must.
So you're doing it on purpose.
Right. So sometimes, people say, I ought to lose weight. I should lose weight. I know I need to, but it hasn't become a must yet. And so when it doesn't become a must that I do it, that I have to do it, that what's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen?
It's going to stay there.
It's going to stay right there.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think, well, I feel like it's a thin line, but there's a difference between, being depressed and being lonely?
I think loneliness leads to depression. And what happens, the reason loneliness leads to depression, because God made us, we're social creatures. You ever notice how they say people who do crazy, diabolical things, they're alone? Think about it, they're alone with their own thoughts. And I'm going to get into that in a second, why that is not always good. But, the Bible says, I don't know if the Bible says this, but people.
Okay. I know that's right. Don't be putting
I'm about to say
no
the Bible people. Well, they say itemized is devil's workshop. I don't even know if the Bible say that. I
don't know if it is.
Or just the old folk from our old ancestors. But it's true though.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you why. You ever been by yourself, Nick, and you left alone with your own thoughts?
Yes. I get this from my father was a prisoner of his thoughts. And that's something that I have to fight on a daily, daily is I have to fight my thoughts. And why are you looking at me like that?
Because I lay beside you and I be asleep. What thoughts you fighting?
No, I mean just like things of the past, things that people have said to me, things that have happened to me, situations, circumstances. I fight those things daily, and that was one of my dad's issues in life.
Oh,
yeah.
And so, when you fight those issues, and think about it though, what you said was, I fight them. I fight the thoughts. The people who are in those depressed states, they stop fighting the thoughts. I think you're beating up right now.
I'm beating up.
Hot flash. Oh, I saw it coming. Okay. I saw it a mile away. I know them hot flashes.
But I want to know what the audience thinks. Audience, what advice would you give her? Would you tell her, or do you think that it can't be salvaged? Do you think that it is? It is. Can you make it after infidelity?
Yes, you can. I've seen people do it. I've helped people do it. I'm on a show where people do it. Here's the thing, though, and that's what I was going to tell you before I saw the beads. The beads of water.
Beads.
Is that a person has to accept, I can never go back to what we had. I can only build something new. Wow. So now listen, go ahead.
No, go.
Because what I was saying is, a lot of people say, I want to just go back to where we were. You can't.
Once you
open the box. And because a lot of people think, they keep trying to get back to where they were. And what you have to do is accept that, okay, what can we build? Everything that happens from this point on will be me and you building something new. And some people no longer want to build something new with that person. And then some people decide, but the only way you can build something new is you got to decide how do we get here? It's called self-reflection with your partner, with you. hard conversations, because people just don't end up in infidelity. It ain't right.
It's something.
It's not right. But there are things that led to that.
And it doesn't have to be the other person's fault.
Right.
Right.
Right. There are a number of reasons why, and we're not going to do it in this episode, but there are a number of reasons why people, commit infidelity. Infidelity is a tough thing. It really is. And so what I'm going to say to you is this right here. The reason, and just, let me just keep it a buck right now.
Mm-hmm.
What I see, what people go through, the victims of infidelity. I would never want to see you through that pain. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you were to let Mandingo, swing from a tree on you, then the podcast wouldn't come out for a while.
Why?
I just figured, it'd be a lot going on. I just figured it'd be a lot going on. At that point, it'd be a lot going on.
We would.
It'd probably be a lot going on.
You wouldn't get the pocket communication coach and we work
probably
it out?
Probably wouldn't. It probably wouldn't get pocket communication. It'd be a lot going on, though. They'd be like influencer relationship coach. Yeah, my mug shot up there like this. I can't, maybe like, everybody, when they do their mug shot, they're like this. I got to look hard on the mug shot. We've told the story, and I've told this story about when I came to you about this room. I wanted to turn it into a media room. And you were like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to turn it back into a bedroom. I don't want to. And then I said to you, and remember, our whole thing is, if we want to do something, we have to explain to the other person why we want to do it, because they're our business partner. But you remember what I said? I don't know why. I don't know why I want to do it. I just believe it's going to make us better. I just believe I'm going to reach, I didn't even say millions at the time. I believe I'm going to reach a lot of people. And you were against it. What made you decide to say yes? Because remember what I said. If you say no, we won't do it.
I don't think I don't remember I don't remember a time where I didn't support your dream. And
what about the vending machine? The vending machine.
I didn't say I didn't believe. I supported. I just was like, this is dumb as hell. But I supported it. But I don't have a clear, deep reason why. It was the way that you came to me. And you were not sure. Right. And at the time, the issue was our finances. We didn't have a lot of money in this. Finances to redo the room. And so,
well, we had it, but you didn't want to allocate it.
Yeah, that's what I said. We didn't have it to redo the room. Like we had it, but not to redo the room. And so, it was the way that you came to me.
Because it was a core value.
It was the way that you came to me.
One of my core values was that we need to invest in growth. I'm saying it now that I understand it. I didn't quite understand it.
For me, it was just, I think for me, it was just that I believe in you. And even though you did not know the end of the story, we still don't know the end, but you didn't know what was going to come after that, I believed enough in you that I knew you weren't just going to do the room and it sit here. Right. I knew you were going to do something with the room. But I never knew that it would turn into what it is. But it was just my belief in you.
Cool. You cannot predicate your journey on the journey of somebody else, even though you're partners.
Okay.
You and I have grown at different speeds, at different paces.
Yes.
But even when I went through my growth phase and you were trying to figure out some things about your life where you were moving, what I did was I didn't stop growing because you and I weren't at the same speed.
Right.
But what I did do was I still told you about what I was doing. I didn't try to make you do it. Here's where a lot of people mess up. And I got to ask you this. Did I ever try to make you grow like at the same pace as me? Same pace?
I can't say. I think there were moments when you tried to push me to other things, but you never tried to hold me at your standard. If that, like, I never had to do what you were doing. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because what happens is we judge people by ourselves. Like we become the judge of other people. If you're not doing it like me, like I would. I had that conversation today
I
about
think you did that.
uh,
I think you did that one
I
time
absolutely
early
did it.
in the marriage. I
I
think so. And when
absolutely
I think
did it.
back, yeah, because
I
I think we had a
judged you
conversation.
based on
Yeah.
what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody listen to me carefully. Whenever you judge somebody based on what you would do, okay? And again, I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad approach.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying you can't base everything on what you would do.
Right.
You gotta base it on what might be right for the situation,
Right.
what might be right for that person.
Mm-hmm.
But what's right for you a lot of times ain't what's right for me.
Mm.
What's right for me is the same thing.
How did you realize that? Because there was a time in our marriage where I was at a standstill, where you said I was trying to figure it out and you were growing at at a fast pace at that time. So how did you get to a point where you said, okay, let me back off and let her grow at her pace?
Number one, out of frustration.
Wow.
I was frustrated because you weren't growing. And I asked myself one day, why are you mad? You know why you mad? Because you judging her based on what you would do and not based on what she would do.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is why I tell people perfection is the enemy of progress. Why? Because we judge people based on them being perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. If you ain't lost all your 150 pounds, I can't celebrate you. Some people like, well, they instead of saying, look how much you've lost, you know what they say? Well, you ain't lost enough. So they're judging you against perfection. That's why I always tell people perfection is the enemy of progress, because whenever you judge yourself against perfection, you can never win, ever.
That's good.
Never. And so what was the next question?
Okay. So what are healthy ways to motivate somebody who was in a place like me, like stuck, not knowing which way to turn? I was in the middle of, hair, comedy, what do I do?
So I'm going to ask you that question. Instead of asking me, coach, you the coach too.
Okay.
You're coaching now. What would you say to somebody? Or say the question again.
Mm-hmm. What are healthy ways to motivate somebody?
What would you say?
I would say first, I would think the first thing you would do would be to listen to them.
There you go.
Because there were reasons why. And I think this is when we really start peeling back my life and getting to the root of my issues. There were reasons why I was not motivated to do things, or I didn't have the I don't want to say like the courage to step out. I think it was. So a lot of times it's that. So I would say listen would be my first thing, and then I want you to give something.
Okay. You throwing it back on me.
Ah.
First off, you said listen.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing I would say is self-reflect. Self-reflect is, how did I end up here? How did I arrive here? What things caused me to believe what I believe?
So you motivate me. You have to self-reflect.
Yeah, no. I'm reflect first. I have to self-reflect. Then I got to be willing to talk to you about you in terms of, so not about you, but have the conversation
Mhm.
about how a person arrives here. Some people, first off, if I'm ever going to reach you, I got to introduce a thought to you. See, nothing, then listen to what I'm about to say.
Mhm.
Nothing happens. Everything you have, us building this studio, us doing this podcast, nothing happens until a thought is introduced to the mind, right? So when a person is not motivated, you reflect, you ask him, your self-reflection is, I'm probing on why, and I want to introduce a thought to you. If this were to occur, here's what you could be. Or you might, well, and then it might be, I might say, instead of me introducing a thought to you, then I might ask you, what do you think about personal development, and how did you arrive there?
Mm-hmm.
All right. But it's not from an interrogation standpoint. Okay. And here's how I would do it. I would do it with subconscious questions. You know, I teach that. So I would say this: what does personal development mean to you? When somebody says that, what does that mean to you? And how does personal development impact a person's life? Not your life, a person. You know what? Me and you look at birthdays a little differently.
We do. We look
but
at
I'm
them
excited
so
about
different.
your birthday.
That was not the one time, but that was a time when my family, my mom, my aunts, my grandmother, you always felt just so special. They make birthdays just magical. Even when you didn't really get a lot. And it was just us, but it was so many of us that it just always felt like you were just being
I've tried to
celebrated
make your birthdays magical.
You have.
I have tried
You
to.
really, 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 really have.
I ain't gonna even lie to you.
You have done an excellent. I just love my birthday.
I love it too, because it had that birthday not occurred.
If it wasn't for that,
I wouldn't
fast swimmer catching that egg, honey, she wouldn't be your daddy. I sure appreciate that fast swimmer, daddy. I don't know if he did push-ups.
Was
before.
you the fast swimmer?
Hey, I was
because you can swim like a fish.
No, babe, I'm talking about.
Oh no, no, the swimmer it come out the man. No, that's right. Maybe you was the swim. Okay, you ready? You ready, baby? Okay, a close friend reveals he or she is gay, but not attracted to you. They were a close friend that you didn't know about. They said that they were gay. You've been their friend for a long time, one of your girls, but they're not. They said they're not attracted to you. You would A, continue the friendship. B, step back, don't see them the same. C, cut back on time with him or her. People might think that you're gay. Or D, ask why he or she didn't tell you before now.
A and D.
A, continue the friendship. It ain't but one.
Why you ain't tell me?
So it's D.
Why you ain't tell me? I don't give a fat baby's rump.
But you think about it like this. Can I say this to you? You know, y'all go out of town. They've been in the room with you.
That don't mean they want me.
It sure don't. And you know
that
what?
Don't mean they want me.
Can I tell you, if it was me, I would continue the friendship.
I would continue the friendship.
That's what I would do. I would continue the friendship. But you know why I would continue the friendship?
Them, girl, how you deal with that morning butt? I just don't know. I should have said that. I went too far. I be wanting.
Well, ask me how I deal with it. Audience, what would you do?
I ain't even mean to laugh so loud.
Hey, audience, what would you do? Would you continue the friendship?
I'm so I cannot.
I done put the card up
Y'all,
there.
you know what?
Hey, look.
Just forget it. Never mind. Listen, thank y'all for joining us.
Hold on. Sponsored by the PCC.